The foolish errand of Oliver Bright. In a small riverside town stood a crooked row of cottages, their chimneys forever puffing thin threads of smoke. Life there moved slowly, shaped by the rhythm of the river, fishing at dawn, market at noon, and quiet evenings by the hearth. Among the townsfolk lived a young man named Oliver Bright. Oliver was 20 years old, broad-shouldered and cheerful, but he carried a reputation. Since his childhood, people had called him bright in name, dim in mind. It wasn't that Oliver was cruel or lazy. He was, in fact, good-hearted and always eager to help. But he had a habit of taking instructions too literally. His father, Samuel Bright, was a boat repairer, hardened by years of sun and storm. His mother, Margaret, was gentle, always humming as she baked bread or stitched clothes. Oliver had an elder sister, Clara, sharp as a needle and quick with her tongue, and a younger brother, Thomas, curious and restless. Together they formed a simple family, respected for their honesty, though sometimes laughed at because of Oliver's foolish ways. The day of trouble. One summer evening, the Bright family prepared supper. Margaret had gathered mushrooms in the woods nearby. She was skilled in herbs, but that day her hands shook with fatigue, and she failed to notice the spots on the mushrooms' caps. They were poisonous. Not long after the family finished eating, a heavy sickness fell upon them. Samuel clutched his stomach. Clara turned pale. Little Thomas groaned. Even Margaret herself could barely stand. Realizing the danger, Samuel gasped, "Oliver, run to the apothecary at once. Ask for the strongest medicine for stomach poisoning. A dose for 5, one for each of us." He made Oliver repeat it. A strong medicine. Stomach poisoning. 5 doses. "Yes, father," Oliver said, his eyes wide with both fear and determination. "I will not fail you." Oliver's journey. Oliver dashed into the twilight streets, his boots slapping the stones. The town was buzzing. Merchants were closing stalls, children were chasing dogs, fishermen were dragging nets from the river. But Oliver saw none of it. His mind repeated like a drumbeat, "Strong medicine. Stomach poisoning. 5 doses." At the apothecary, the old healer Master Elias listened carefully. With grave eyes, he measured the medicine into 5 small vials and placed them in a leather pouch. "Give 1 vial to each person," Elias said. "Do not drink it yourself unless you are sick." Oliver nodded, but his thoughts tangled. 5 vials, 5 doses, for 5 Brights. To him, it sounded simple. The family needed the medicine, and he was part of the family. What if his stomach began to hurt later? Better to be safe. Better to take it first, so he could be strong enough to help the others. And so, without hesitation, Oliver stepped behind the apothecary's shop, uncorked all 5 vials, and swallowed every drop. The mistake. Within minutes, Oliver felt fire in his belly. He staggered down the alley, clutching his stomach, moaning loudly. His vision blurred, his head spun. Meanwhile, back at the cottage, the family waited. Margaret tried to keep her children calm, though her own lips were pale. Samuel, though weakened, feared not only the poison, but also his son's foolishness. With all his strength, he rose and stumbled toward town, desperate to find Oliver. At last, near the stone bridge, Samuel found him. Oliver lay curled like a shrimp, groaning, "Father, I have done as you said. 5 doses, all taken. I made sure no one was left out." Samuel stared in horror, torn between anger and pity. "You fool," he whispered. "You were supposed to bring the medicine, not swallow it all yourself." The resolution Master Elias, summoned quickly, managed to save Oliver with herbs and a bitter draught that made him vomit. The family, however, had to endure the poison longer, for there was no medicine left. Though they eventually recovered, the sickness weakened them for weeks. Work was delayed, money was lost, and hunger pressed against their door. Oliver, ashamed and remorseful, spent those weeks laboring twice as hard. He repaired boats alone, carried heavy nets for fishermen, even sold firewood in the market. Every coin he earned went to replace what the family had lost. And though the townsfolk teased him 5 doses bright, they called him. He bore it quietly. The lesson: one evening, as the family sat by the fire, Samuel spoke gently. Oliver, you have a good heart, but a good heart must be guided by clear thought. Obedience is not enough, understanding matters more. A man who cannot listen with wisdom will harm even when he means to help. Clara added with a smirk, and next time, brother, leave the medicine to the sick. They all laughed, even Oliver, though a blush colored his cheeks. Moral: and so the Bright family learned a costly lesson. From that day, Oliver strove not only to act quickly, but also to ask questions, to think before he obeyed. Thank you for your attention. If you like this story, please like and subscribe. It motivates us to make new videos and helps us promote the channel. Thank you.